All by myself.
Lord Love-A-Duck is about a guy who suddenly goes stark, raving sane and commits a mass murder. It's a comedy.
And they fly away.
The prolific actor was equally busy on the small screen, appearing in over 20 programs, including the popular Batman series, where he guest starred as the villainous Bookworm.
Bruce, quick! Come here, look!
What is it, Dick?
I just saw the bookworm. All right, my fine twisty worms. Attack!
Crime does not pay.
But performing was not the only expression of McDowall's artistic talent. After he had sold a picture of Judy Holliday to Vogue magazine in 1960, many of the country's most prestigious magazines began courting Roddy McDowall, the photographer.
It bothered Roddy that he had spent all of his young years acting, and he used to worry about what else could he do, what else would he be good at. And he decided to be a photographer. And of course the results speak for themselves. He's a magnificent, wonderful photographer.
A lot of times I've been photographed by Roddy, and it's always been very easy because he's a friend, and you know you're in the hands of a master.
From album covers to posters, Roddy's work began appearing everywhere. And in 1966, he published a collection of his photographs, combining images of some of Hollywood's most famous and elusive stars with commentaries by their peers. Entitled Double Exposure, his book paired such luminaries as Lauren Bacall and Katharine Hepburn, Laurence Olivier and Noel Coward, and Montgomery Clift and Marcello Mastroianni.
He's very lucky because he has two careers going. He has the acting and he has the photography. And Roddy is very interested in so many things and able to make a wonderful living in two totally different camps.
Throughout the psychedelic 60s, Roddy's dual career and active social life kept him on the move. Roddy McDowall had evolved from a gifted child star into an acclaimed actor. But it would be a very different kind of evolution that would mark his transition from celebrated actor to an enduring pop culture icon.
Biography remembers Roddy McDowall.
A planet where man is the lowest order of living things, and the superior beings are apes.
In 1968, cameras rolled on Planet of the Apes, the story of an astronaut who is hurled 2,000 years into the future, where he finds a society turned upside down. The cast included Charlton Heston, Maurice Evans, Kim Hunter, and Roddy McDowall as the simian scientist Cornelius.
He does come from somewhere in the Forbidden Zone. He's described the region to us and described it accurately, for I have been there.
You visited the Forbidden Zone?
I discovered evidence of a simian culture that existed long before the sacred scrolls were written.
Objection!
Roddy McDowall managed to handle the makeups, which I know was an enormous challenge. I remember Roddy saying that the trick for acting behind those makeups was to overact with your face. And they actually were able to express emotion through those makeups.
We got along quite well, and I think basically through Roddy's sense of humor. He was just marvelous and curious and wanting to make things go right as much as we could. And we were very close as chimps and as friends.
Cornelius.
Engaging both the imagination and intellect of moviegoers, Planet of the Apes was a tremendous box office success and became one of the seminal science fiction films of all time. But when the studio clamored for an inevitable sequel, McDowall was unavailable. He was in Europe realizing his long-cherished dream of directing his first motion picture. In 1969, Roddy began production on Tam Lin, based on an old romantic Scots ballad and starring Ava Gardner as the beautiful but evil seductress of young men. The veteran actor felt right at home behind the camera and looked forward to both popular and critical success.
He was very excited about this film and heartbroken when they ran out of money. I think he really did enjoy directing.
Roddy was hopeful when American International Pictures purchased the movie, but their heavily re-edited version bore no resemblance to Roddy's original vision, and his lyrical drama was finally released as a horror film retitled The Devil's Widow. Roddy was humiliated and tried in vain to have his name removed from the credits. But in the end, it was he who bore the brunt of the bad reviews. It was a devastating experience, but one about which he remained characteristically silent, never speaking about it in public. But in 1971, McDowall went from defeat to triumph when he starred in the spectacularly successful Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Have you a name?
Zero.
Does the other one talk?
Only when she lets me.
Over the next 6 years, he would appear in 2 more sequels, a popular TV show, and on a host of apes-related merchandising, from board games to lunchboxes. By the age of 46, Roddy McDowall had gone from respected character actor to pop culture personality.
Hello, Roddy.
Hello, Carol.
Well, how have you been?
Well, I've been just fine. You're looking wonderful, Carol.
Oh, thank you. Well, so are you, Roddy.
Well, I should. I just spent the weekend in Palm Springs. I was working on my tan.
Throughout the 1970s, Roddy continued appearing in dozens of popular pictures, including Bedknobs and Broomsticks, The Poseidon Adventure, and The Legend of Hell House. As Hollywood's self-proclaimed biggest fan, Roddy had become one of the movie industry's preeminent historians and had invested a substantial amount of his own money in an effort to preserve Hollywood's history. By 1974, he had amassed one of the most comprehensive, privately owned film libraries in the country, which he shared with his friends in private screenings at his home.
Roddy's house, I think it's better than the Museum of Broadcasting. Not better, as good. He's got it all there. It's all categorized.
But that December, Roddy was shocked when the FBI raided his North Hollywood home, charging him with selling films for profit on the black market. In a crackdown on the multi-million-dollar film piracy industry, the FBI accused McDowall and confiscated his personal collection of 500 titles.
It was a difficult time for something that you had started with such enthusiasm and so innocently. Naturally, it was quite a surprise and a shock when they were informed that they shouldn't have been doing it.
Gene Hackman and Rock Hudson also had their own private collections confiscated. But after appearing before a grand jury, all 3 actors were cleared of any wrongdoing.
It was a terrible, terrible, stupid, ugly thing that they did to him. He was desperately upset. It was like ripping this man's guts from him because he cares and his knowledge is so vast. He truly loves the industry that he's a part of.
For an actor whose behavior had always been above reproach, the ordeal was devastating. But as his friends rallied round him, the indomitable 47-year-old was determined to live life to the fullest. FBI scandal behind him, Roddy McDowall threw himself into his work, appearing in a broad spectrum of film and television roles. In 1987, Roddy added a new title to his impressive list of professional credits when he executive produced and co-starred in Overboard, a screwball comedy featuring Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
Oh, no, madam. I
you do this.
What?
Not without a life jacket.
Jane! I'm coming!
Madam, you really should play a little hard to get.
Roddy joined friend Dolly Parton in 1996 for a television special entitled Unlikely Angel, about a country music singer who needs the help of St. Peter to get into heaven.
Roddy had an air about him that just calmed everybody. I think everybody was in awe of him because he's such a great actor, and everybody was just so taken with how genuine he is.
Dedicated as he was to the art of cinema, by the 1990s, the actor was growing increasingly dismayed at the film industry's unwillingness to preserve its own rich heritage. Thousands of films from the silent era to the